Hey crafty friends, welcome back to the Old Paper Lady. I'm Lori. If you're new here, thank you for joining us. And welcome to Merry Monday. I'm going to put my magnets on my little 1-inch folio. We did this a while back on the channel. I think it was in the first couple of weeks of Christmas in July. I did this because I'd already made my folio, but I just did this so we all could know the measurements and stuff. So I'm going to decorate it with this pad that I got that's berry and pine from Hobby Lobby, and I'm pretty sure I paid that price for it because I don't think they had their Christmas stuff included in their 40% off a couple weeks ago. And then I got these stickers that go with. So we're going to get as far as we can today on this project. Now the outside of this, I got a cough, excuse me a second. It's raining and storming bad in our area, and it gets me clammed up. So I have to clear my throat quite a bit. So I have a chronic bronchitis, so I have an inhaler for that. So, and the reason why I was staying so choked up on that subject was because my inhaler had went out in March. So it was actually causing me to have more fluid in my bronchial tubes, and it wasn't helping me a bit. And then I recently caught that, and so now I'm doing a whole lot better with the allergy choked up stuff. All right, so anyways, with that being said, we're gonna work on this paper pad, get as far as we can in this video. If we need to, we'll go on over into next week's Merry Monday. I got my paper cutter over here on the side as always, like right over here, right here, so I don't have to keep bringing it back and forth. Now usually what I do with these is I'll start in the middle, so like, you know, my prettiest papers will be in the middle, because, you know, that's going to be the center of attention basically. So in this paper pad, I looked through a little bit, but not a whole bunch. So I have that pretty red and white stripe and green, and that green plaid. Then we have these, looks like holly and I don't know what that would be, but anyways, it's pretty floral. Then we have this. Then we have Christmas trees. I may put this on the front because it has the Christmas trees with the little cardinals on it. Then we have that. Then we have the cardinals with the holly berries. Then we have this with like a real faint gold stripe. That's pretty, like a candy cane. Then we have green snowflakes. Then that's pretty. Then we have some with the pine cones and holly berries. That's real pretty. Green and red plaid. Then we have the ornaments with the decorative bits like that. Red snowflakes, red and white snowflakes. It looks like it's like a wood grain in that snowflake. I do believe it is. Yeah. Oops. Yeah, it's a wood grain in that snowflake, if you can tell. I don't know if the camera will show it or not. And then you have this, and it has like a wood grain in behind it. So this was going to be my center. So this is 8.5 wide, so I'm going to need 2 pages of this to do these, and we'll have some good little cut-offs to make some scrappies with. So now, like I said, this measures, the outside is 6 inches wide by 8.5 tall. So then on the inside, I'm going to do a measure to fit, because I know I trimmed some of these down for the clearance of the fold, so that when you folded it, it would go both ways. So So we're going to start with that piece, cut them down, and I'm going to have them here on this. I think that's going to be really pretty for our centerpiece. All right, so now it needs to be, let's do our little measure here. So start at one corner, and this to the fold here says 5 1/2, so I'm going to cut it at 5 1/4. So then whatever your paper measurement is on these, so like this here is 5 1/2, I always go back 1/4 inch, so then I have a trim around it. It's going to be beautiful. So then both of these are 5 1/2, so then we can cut both of these panels, this panel, this one, and this one at 5 1/4. So I'm going to write on this 5 1/4 wide, so then I don't have to remeasure all of them. Because, you know, usually what it is on one side is pretty much what it is on the other side. So it's going to be 5 1/4 wide, and we know that it's 8 1/2 tall. So then we would do 8 1/4 tall on all of them, okay? So pretty much all of our height wise is going to be 8 1/4. So because basically I just laid the papers down and made the folio that way. So everything is going to be 8 1/4 tall. Even our little trim pieces here. So we're just going to go ahead and put that on there, okay? We'll do 8 1/4 tall on everything. The only thing we have to measure is the width of it. So that measurement there was pretty easy. And then on the outside, so like now when you flip flop and fold this around, be careful that you keep up with what is the outside back cover and the outside front cover, okay? Because those measurements are at 6 by 8 1/2. So if it is 6 inches wide and we back it up 1/4 inch, we're going to do it at 5 3/4 wide on the back cover and the front cover, okay? So we'll flip it over, and then we have 8 1/4 tall, and again this is the front cover, which measures 6 inches from the corner to the fold. So we back it up 1/4 inch, and that puts us at 5 3/4 wide, okay? And I need to write on the spine piece here that it is 8 1/4 tall. And I think we got all of our bits. So now I'm just going to measure these just to make sure that it is going to need to be cut. Yep, it says 5 1/2. So that is 5 1/4 wide by 8 1/4 tall. This is because it's the same on the inside. 5 1/4 wide, 8 1/4 tall. And this fold didn't quite do as good, did it? I think that's where we refolded that one to give it the clearance that it needed. So I'm going to measure from the score line to where it attaches, not to the spine, but the actual piece of paper itself. So see, if you measure to the spine, then that's going to put you at 5 8/16. But the score line to the actual end of the paper is 5 1/2. So we'll do 5 1/4 wide by 8 1/4 tall. So basically these papers on the inside are exactly the same. I wasn't sure about that because I know I trimmed just a hair off of it, a smidget, so that the fold would go both ways. All right, so now this piece here, we can cover these, and it's going to be 8 1/4 tall, And that measure is 5/8. So now I would back it up and do it at 7/16 wide. So I'm going to write that down. This spine here in the middle is going to be 4 1/4 tall, and the spine is 1 inch. So I'm going to back it up 1/4, and we need to put it at 3/4 wide. Okay, so now on this one, and the only reason it's going to be a slightly bit different is because see where your score lines are. Your score lines shrink it just a tad. So I'm measuring on the inside of the score line to the inside of the other score line. And this one will be the same thing, 3/4 wide. Okay. Now our little flap is measuring at 1 13/16. So I would cut that, or excuse me, it measures 1 7/8. So now that would be 1 2 3 4. So I would cut that at 1 5/8 wide for a 1/4. And then the outside will be the exact same thing. 1 and what did we just say? I just said it. 1 5/8 wide. Okay, and then the outside spine is also going to be the same as the inside, 3/4 wide. And I think that's all of our measurements to our pages. All right, so now the inside and outside covers should be exactly same as your outside covers, and it is. It's 6 inches. So we're going to back that up to 1/4 inch. So that would be 5 3/4 wide. Okay, and that is the back cover. And then this here, I know you can barely see it. I must have scratched that when I flipped the page, because I had a pencil line down right there. All right, so this is 8 1/4 tall. We're going to do 5 3/4 wide. Okay, so now this flap on the front, you can put it down and make you a tuck spot, or you can take and choose to put you a piece of paper over it on either side. I haven't decided yet, but I know I need to cover this piece back here. So I'm going to measure it, and it measures 5 7/16, and it is, of course, 8 1/2 tall. So we know it's going to be 8 1/4 tall. 5 7/16. So it's 1 dash mark, 2 3 4. So it needs to be 5 3/16 wide. Okay, so then this piece here, either way, if we cover it or not, if we make it a pocket or, you know, a flap, it still needs to be covered. So it is 4 inches, and it is 8 1/2 tall. So it's going to be 8 1/4 tall, and then you back it up to 3 3/4 wide. And that should be the same measurement on the inside and outside. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Just in case I want to put this as a flap, I'm not sure yet. I may leave it as a leave it as a little tuck and then put some pockets on either side. That might be cute. All right, so now this piece for orientation, this is your front cover. Okay, so when you flip it open and see this piece here, we need to cover. Alrighty, so on the inside, it is not the same measurement because see, we added that little flap piece. So see right here, this whole sheet is added on flap. So this measures 5 7/16. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we need to cut it at 5 3/16 wide. I know it's wonky measurements, and it is 8 1/4 tall. All right, so now we're going to fold it up. We're going to check all of our outside pieces that we have our measures. I forgot this piece here. It used to be 3/4 wide. Okay. All right, so we're going to flap it open. Our flaps are done. And we'll flip this open. This piece is done. That has the measures. That's measured. That is. All right, and so I think what I did was I assumed this was my inside spine, and it's not. That's why I wrote measurements there. I am sorry about that. So this is our inside fold pages, and this is our inside spine. So we have measurements on all of these papers. So we'll flip this over. Yep, so everything's measured now. So now we can go and we can start cutting our decorative paper and put it down. All right, so, but the first thing I want to do is I want to put my magnets on here. So I take double stick tape, cut about 1 inch or so, and I take one magnet, and I will glue it down. So when I put my magnets on, I try to keep them about 1/2 inch away from the outside. So I'm going to set it up. I'm going to square this up the best I can. And squaring, I mean by like your spine pieces are straight, okay? So then I'll mark here. And we'll kind of put these closer together in the middle. And I'm going to take my other magnet and let it find itself. I'll come straight down below that one, a couple inches apart, and put it on and burnish that around each side of the magnet. And then we'll take my other magnet and let it find itself. So then I'll take and cut another inch of double-sided tape, put it in between the magnets, and let it find itself. And do another strip about 1 inch so, put it in between the magnets, and let it find itself. All right, so now we're going to set this up. We are going to square our spines up, okay? So then on this flat piece here, whoops, I moved it. So get your spines squared and straight, and take your magnets and mash it. Then I'm going to flip it over, square these bits up, and I'll go down, I'll try my best to find my magnet in there. Make sure that it's square, because wherever these magnets adhere to, that's where they're going to find themselves back. And if it's not square, then it'll close like this, or it'll close like that. So make sure that your spine pieces are squared up. So see, then we're going to pull this apart, and then we'll burnish our magnets down. And so then it will close and it will be square. And it's got a lot of heft in there. I may have to wind up trimming this piece here off because it sticks up above it. Yep, it's squared up. Yeah, those pieces are sticking up. So maybe we can refold it. Straighten our fold out. Yeah, it's not folded quite right. Yeah, it's actually off at the bottom. It's all right. We can trim that up. It's not a big deal. So then you see, like here on this, you can see that it's hanging over because that paper is glued crooked, and that was my fault. And that piece is hanging over, so we can trim that bit off. Any of those bits that's hanging over just a hair like that, we can trim that off. And here's what I'm going to try my best to do, and I probably ain't going to be able to do it with that. Let's take our, ooh, you see what, ooh wee, I'm trying to cut myself, y'all. Goodness gracious, be careful with these things. I picked that up, and the lid wasn't snapped on it, and threw it at myself. That was really, really lucky that didn't catch in my foot. Alright, so just where that right there is, I'm just going to take my X-Acto knife and just trim those little bits off. That's what I'm doing. And try not to hurt myself on camera. Alright. That scared me. Yeah, that was not a good look. Okay, it's not wanting to cut as good right here because that's through several layers at that point right there. And then that's fine. I'm just going to keep going over it until I get it done. Just making a few passes. There we go. Then we're going to do this one right here too. We'll just get this done. Okay, now let's take this thing and put the lid clip back on it really good so we don't do that again. And I keep it towards the back of my desk just because, you know, like I said, sometimes Moonbeam comes in here and helps me maul. And then I don't want her to do what I just done and pick it up. Whew, that was scary. I'm sorry about that, y'all. Didn't mean to give y'all a heart attack. Now my dog's barking because I bumped something. Oh, he's scratching at the front door. You know why? Because the neighborhood stray black cat likes to come sit on our front porch. And he gets all tore up about that. All right, Snoop. That's enough, boy. Alright, so now I'm going to cut my paper to 5.5 wide. Now this, you need to pay close attention to orientation. Alright, so I want it's up and down this way. So my width, I need to cut down to 5.5 first. Good gracious. I'm so sorry, y'all. So, all right, my daughter's going to get him, put him in his cage because she knows I'm filming. All right, so we're going to cut it to 5.5 wide. So then you've got your width. Now, if it's orientational, then you turn it where it's going to be up and down and cut your height. A lot of people get issues with orientation paper. And so then we can use this piece and we can use this piece and something else. All right, so now the best way to do it is the orientation that you want your paper to be. Make that cut first. You know what I did? I cut it at 5.5. I'm a knucklehead. Yeah, it's supposed to have been 5.25. That's okay. Because like I said, these strips were, I saved them. That would be a pretty little strip to put on something else. That's all right. And I'm pretty sure I cut that at 8.5, and I sure did. You're trying to cut it not the same size as your paper. You want it where it's going to have a little border around it, knuckle noggin. So we can use them strips on something else. All right, so again, have your orientation to what you want it to look on your paper. And you'll cut it at 5.25 wide, 8.25 tall. And see, and then we'll have us a little border trim around it. Now, normally I try to cut, you know, like one paper and cut this. It works better to do that with 12 by 12. But I think I'm going to put a different color on the spine pieces and try to do all of them the same. Now, this is a, let's see, does it say how much it weighs? I hate that they don't put what their weight is or their cardstock on there, but it feels like it's 60 pounds to me. And it feels like the weight of a 65-pound cardstock. And the folio I did was 65 pound. It came from, the cardstock came from Michael's. And I'm using up what I got of the Aleene's tacky glue in this. And then I will reload it with my Elmer's all-purpose glue. It gives me wiggle room for like this to straighten up stuff. And then it dries clear. And then I'll take my glue smoother, start in the middle, and work the glue out to the edges. Then we'll take us a dry paper towel or a dried baby wipe, whichever one you have laying around your crafty space, as long as it's dry, not wet, because if you get it wet, then it'll make it have, sometimes it will dry with the dark color on it. Alrighty, so there's that. And then we go through and wipe all that off. So then I know all of my corners will be glued down. That's why I do that. Alright, so now we're going to cut the second piece for the middle. And our orientation is we want it up and down like this. So I'm going to put it, the decorative paper needs to be 5.5, or no, stop doing that. The decorative paper needs to be 5.25 wide. Then it needs to be 8.25 tall. And I'll keep all these pieces up here at the end separate. So now, like my little flaps on the front, inside and out, are my spine pieces. I'll take and use from those when we get finished with it. And so see, and then this, let's see, that's going to be the inside of that. I wanted to make sure I gave you the measurements of the papers. Now, all of this was 8.5 wide by 11-inch cardstock. Is what I started out with. And I'm going to see if I can link the build video, but I think it was my very first design team project for Christmas in July. It's the first week of July. Actually, it was the July 1st video that we done this folio build in. So if you're wanting to get the measurements of the builds with the how to do the scoring and all of that to actually build a folio, it is there. Or the actual original person that did this was May made it. So I'm going to give her credit. So if you would like to actually go and watch her tutorial on it. I say I'm not a tutorial channel, but I do try my best, excuse me, to give you the measurements of things and stuff like that. And try to think about, you know, like, well, if I was watching it and didn't have a clue about how to paper craft, what would I need to know, you know? And like I said, there's very few people that I have watched to learn how to do things. May Made It Crafts is one of those people. She does excellent job, step-by-step measurements, where to score, how to glue, and everything like that. So I tried my best to do her justice when I did this on my channel. I've made a couple of these on my channel just because I love them. Make perfect little gifts. Now you can take and put 3x5 here, 3x5 here, or 1 4x6 here photos. Still have the pretty paper around it with the photo mat with the border, and just love them, love them, love them. All right, so now let's find us a paper. I love that. It's not going to take away from this, and it's the same colors. Will be beautiful on these side pieces here. And then we could take a strip of it and run it down the middle, so that's all one cohesive picture. That's what I'm thinking. So I'll need 2 sheets of that. This is why I like using 12x12 paper pads for these, because you can take 1 sheet of 12x12 and make that 1 sheet and do the sides. And then the strips that you have off of those 12x12 sheets, you can use this to do your spine piece with. But this was a beautiful paper pad, and the color red matched this color red. And it was brand new to me, and I wanted to use it. So that's why I'm using it. Alright, so now, this is not really particularly, you know, oriented any which way. You can run it this way, but you have to remember that, you know, it is 8.5 this way. So that you would have to just cut a strip, you know, forget your 8 1/4, but I do want it to run this way. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my 5.5 cut first. And that gives me my biggest scrap piece. That's why I try to do that first. And then I'm going to do my 8. Did I do 5.5 or 5 1/4? Shut mouth. Quit running mouth. Alright, and then we're going to do 8 1/4 tall. So then this piece I can use this way or this way, either one. All right, so then that one will be on that page. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this one because these are not object oriented. So you can use this either way. You see, I just prefer, I want it, you know, like that. Because I think it would look better that way than this way. Let me get a full screen picture in here. I know it's wide, but see, which is kind of either way, but I want them both running this way. Nope, because this will match that. I know, it doesn't really matter because, you know, it's the same sheet of paper and it's running zigzag either way, but in my mind, I wanted it up and down. Okay, a good size strip we can use in any way we would like. Either way we like to use that. We can make a tag out of it. We can turn it this way, make it a pocket. Anyways. Alright, so then see, like if you turn it this way, does that match? Yep, that matches. So the stripes are going in the same way. Now let me see if I turn it upside down. Are they still? Nope. Turn it that way. So you see what I'm saying? Like the stripes are exactly the same. That's what I was wanting. Matchy matchy is what I'm wanting here. I love making these folios because you can sit down and make 2 or 3 bases out of whatever color cardstock you want once you get the measurements and the glue part down. And you can pull out a paper pad and bust through a paper pad in a couple hours. I mean, you really can. So most of the time when I'm doing these folios for gifts and stuff for Christmas, I was sitting here and I would sit on the opposite side of my table and watching YouTube, or listening more or less to YouTube. And I was making my folios, cutting and measuring and gluing, and then I would pull out a paper pad and go through and make me a bunch of folios in like an afternoon or a weekend project. Now today is my Sunday. I got to open in the morning, so I'm shooting my video at like 6 o'clock in the evening, Sunday evening. Just because, you know, I got to get, well, we've done ate supper. We ate early bird supper. We ate some home-cooked pizzas because we went and got our grocery pickup. And then we went and got baby Cece, which is what I call my youngest daughter, Autumn, because that's the name that Jordan gave her when she was little. It was baby Cece. So we went and did all of that in one swoop. Got home, got the groceries in. Mama put the pizzas in the oven while me and Cece was putting the groceries where they belonged. And then I pulled this out, and I keep a box with paper pads and what I want to decorate. So I'll make a folio and I'll pull out the paper pad and be like, okay, I want to use that to make this with. And then so I keep it on top of my Christmas stack over there, and I work off of it from time to time. Just want to get tired of looking at everything else, you know, because Christmas is my favorite hoard of scrapbook paper. I'm just going to call it what it is. It is a hoard of scrapbook paper. But, you know, I love Christmas time. And that's a little bit overboard with decorating for Christmas. I did last year. I don't think I'm going to do as much this year because it was a little bit over the top last year. But it was beautiful. And then this year, I've got my Brother Scan and Cut cart and my printer cart sitting in front of my window where I had my beautiful Santa Claus Christmas tree. So now I got to figure out what I want to do with all of that bits and bobs. Okay. I am determined to stab myself with scissors or a knife or something in this video, y'all. I just picked them scissors up and threw them at my stomach. I'm going to trim this bit right here. Okay. And so now that is my inside piece. Now I'm not going to do the spine yet because I think I'm going to wait a minute on the spine. Because most of the time I try to have these pieces coordinate. Now if it's a 12 of 12, I'll take and I'll cut this sheet, I'll cut the strip for the spine, and I'll cut this sheet, and it works out perfect. And it's like a seamless picture. On the 8.5 by 11, it's a little different. Okay, so now on the outside pieces, how long has this been? 41 minutes, not too bad. All right, so we're going to do our outside pieces, and then we'll jump off of here for today. We'll continue the cover of this in our next Merry Monday. Now, I think I want what I'm going to call the next prettiest paper. Which is this, and it matches the inside page. So I'm going to pull this and put it on here. So then we'll double check our measurements, and it is 5 1/4, 4 1/4 by 8 1/4. So this is oriented upright. You know, you can't use it either way. So it has to be a certain way cut. So we want to make sure that I want this to be the upright piece. So we need to cut our width first. I hope I'm making that not as difficult sounding as it sounds to me saying it. So however you want your orientation, if their paper is orientation specified, however you want it to look in your book is the width that you need to cut first. And then you can turn and cut your height. That's what I'm trying to say. I hope I'm saying that clear. And the only reason I'm taking so long is to do this is because I want to make sure that you have, you know, the measurements for everything. If you made the folio, which I did that in I did that for the actual folio that we decorated and did for my design team project in July. But I'm just redoing it again for the measurement purposes for the newer people. Yep, and see if we can do that. Now you can go in and quarter them around these, you know, and all this and that if you would like. You can also add a pocket on this. Now this would be really pretty if you wanted to add pockets here. So you can stuff Christmas cards in. That would be really pretty. Most of the time I cover with paper because I'm meaning them to be a folio, picture folio album for like basically for my grandbaby's special occasions, like document every one of her Christmases, her birthdays, her Easters, you know, anything like that. That's what I make the folios for. So then, you know, she has a folio for, you know, this Christmas, that Christmas, and all that stuff. And not all of them are the same. Sometimes I will take and, like I said, go through a paper pad and make them up, and I'll do that some for like selling purposes, but I like using different papers and stuff. So each person has a different book or a different paper pad used for their folio. Now see, this has where you can pull off of the green and do like, just greens. And then it has where you can pull off and do the red and white. So I'm trying in this one to mix the red, white, and green and the gold. So it's got like 4 basic colors. Yeah, that's going to be pretty. So now on this, whatever I put on the back paper, we'll try to coordinate with what this looks like, because you can see the back piece here, and then here's one spine and there's the other spine. So now more than likely I will probably take and put this at the spine, but I think I'm going to put these, because I think that'll do a little more cohesive with this, and that is the cut, and put this strip as the spine here. I'm pretty sure that's what I'm going to do. And it's just a little bit of the thought process of, why I didn't do the spine on the inside yet. Which most of the time I'll sit down with the paper pad and I'll be like, oh, this will look good here. This will look good here. This will be, a little cohesive run. That's usually what I do. And then I eyeball up to make sure that the papers are even top and bottom, and they are centered actually on their actual flap. So the flap can be somewhat not folded straight. See, like this flap here, but the paper is straight. Does that make sense? I like doing these with colored 65-pound cardstock, the solid, because once you add the cardstock to it, this is a sturdy little album. Okay. So I think I'm going to get off here for now, and we will work on. So I always start in the middle. And then I'm going to put the Christmas tree papers. I want the Christmas tree paper on the front cover for sure. So I think what I will do, I'm thinking about putting that on the back, but it's too matchy-matchy to me. I may wind up putting this on the back. Putting a piece of this on the back. What did I do with the Christmas paper? Where are you? Which this would be really pretty. But I'm thinking of, the handling. And, if your hands aren't clean and stuff, that would be pretty too. So let's keep that in mind. Yeah, see, there's the Christmas tree paper I want for my front. Because I have a topper I want to put on it that's a Christmas tree. And so I'm thinking about putting that as the back paper, or putting that as the back paper. I think I'm going to do that as the back paper. So this will be my front. And this will be the back. Instead of using up 2 sheets of my pretty Christmas paper, I'll have that as my front cover. I'll take and use this as the side spines here and here. And then this will be the back cover. I think that'll be pretty. And then I'm wanting to use this on the front, going down as the spine cover. I think that'll be pretty. Now the inside cover and spine, I may wind up doing this as well, because we've got 2 long sheets that we can do that with, so that'd be great. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking of doing. So then now we're going to put this up in our project box, because I'm not in a hurry to do it. Put all of our scrap pieces until we get done with this folio, because, you know, we may use these as pockets and stuff, and it all matches. But now until I get done with this folio, I'll keep those strips and stuff, even these, because I may wind up putting that down, you know, like on the, so we can put this down as a strip on it, just, you know, something different. Don't know, but yeah, so that's going to be front and back cover and our side pieces, and I think that'll be pretty contrast with the green. And then I have some cardinal pieces as well. I may try to put a cardinal piece on it. And I'm going to stick this on the side here. I don't like to put the sticky notes on my cardstocks or my papers, because sometimes some sticky notes are extra strong and it will stick to your paper and leave glue or rip your decorative paper. So I try not to put sticky notes on that stuff. All right, you all, that's our Merry Monday for this week. We will continue decorating. Now that I've showed you, you know, the measurement bits and that, I'll probably go ahead before next week's video and go ahead and pre-cut my papers. That's the only reason why I didn't do it this time, is because I wanted to show you how I measured my decorative paper bits to cover all of the parts of it. So next week I'll pre-cut them between now and then next week we'll just go through and finish decorating it up. And again, if you want to know a true tutorial, May made it 1-inch folio. But I also did a cut and score and build and glue portion on my videos. It is July the 1st. And it was a design team project that I did that red piece on. Alrighty, thank you all so much. You have a good day and happy Merry Monday.